for a few seconds. Their expressions changed instantly. What obscured half the sky was not a dark cloud. It was clearly a giant wave of unknown height, connecting the sky and the earth, engulfing everything from afar. The giant wave was pitch black. Like ink, it seemed that countless huge black shadows were shuttling through it, giving people an indescribable sense of oppression. Everyone's expressions became terrified. That was not an ordinary sea wave. There were countless huge creatures hidden in the seawater. They were sea demons. Sea demons are attacking the island. Someone shouted. The entire beach was in chaos, with people running, shouting, and falling. But their speed was too slow. How could they match the speed of the giant wave that connected the sky and the earth? In the blink of an eye, an unimaginable amount of seawater fell from the sky, smashing the island's array formations. An unimaginable amount of seawater fell on the island. Countless sea demons boarded the island along with the seawater. Disaster had begun. There are many islands in the northern region, like stars in the sky. There are also many cultivators. But apart from a few areas such as the North Sea Holy Land and the Lanyu Merchant Association, in other places, it is ultimately not the territory of the human race. This endless sea, from ancient times to the present, the real protagonist has always been under the sea. Sea demons attacking human islands is not uncommon in the northern region. It happens countless times every year. This time was no exception. Apart from the fact that the strength of the sea demons that landed on the island was a little stronger, there was nothing special about it. The cultivators on the island fought for a whole day and night. Finally, the sea demons were repelled, and the tide also receded, leaving a devastated ruin. The surviving mortals looked at the incomplete bodies of their relatives around them and cried loudly. They managed to find 2 surviving relatives, only to find that they were seriously injured and had only one breath left, no different from being dead. A small sect. It had now become ruins. A young cultivator struggled to get up, looking at the devastation, his eyes filled with disbelief and desolation. Senior brother. Senior sister. Master. Where are you? Answer me. He had just entered the cultivation world not long ago and joined this small sect. The sect was not large, with only a little over 20 people, including the master, but it was very warm. All the senior brothers and sisters took good care of him, taught him cultivation, taught him how to hunt monsters, and even spent their own money to buy him Dao robes and pills. But now, everything was gone. He was covered in blood, crawling and rolling among the collapsed gates, his voice hoarse. Finally, he found a familiar figure. It was his senior brother, who had always been the most caring towards him, once elegant and graceful, but now he had lost an arm. His dantian had been torn apart by something, and he was on his last breath. He wanted to save his senior brother. But there was no way. Several streams of light flew across the sky. They were cultivators from the largest force on this island, with profound cultivation. He seemed to see hope, his eyes lit up, and he knelt on the ground, shouting loudly. But they just glanced at them indifferently, without stopping at all. Several times in a row. He was in despair, and the light in his eyes dimmed. Don't waste your energy, his senior brother said with his last breath. In the cultivation world, life and death are determined by fate. It has nothing to do with anyone. No, the young cultivator cried, pounding the ruins heavily, and shouted to the sky. I beg you, can anyone come and save us? Save us? Rumble. A deep rumble came from the sky. Like a roaring beast. It got closer and closer. The young cultivator looked up in astonishment, only to see huge flying boats breaking through the clouds from afar. Each flying boat had a banner hanging on it. The Lanyu Charitable Foundation, together with all fellow Taoists on Tianju Island, is willing to overcome difficulties with our brothers in the disaster area, through thick and thin, rebuild our home together. Disaster is ruthless, but there is love in the world. Seeing those flying boats and reading the words written on them, the young cultivator was stunned. Before those flying boats could come to a complete stop, figures leapt down from the flying boats, hurrying and looking serious. They kept shouting, hurry, hurry, hurry. Disaster relief is like putting out a fire. Everyone get flying, hurry, hurry, hurry. Where are the recovering pills? Where are the bruise healing herbs? There are wounded here. Where are the people from the demolition team? I see someone trapped under a collapsed mountain here. Come and move this small mountain. The security team, follow me. There are still a few surviving sea demons over there. Let's take care of them first. This group of people had a clear division of labor. After a brief communication, they flew towards various directions with precision. A woman in a white dress descended from the sky and came to the young cultivator, asking with concern, fellow Taoist, are you all right? The young cultivator quickly shook his head and said, I'm fine. Please, save my senior brother and senior sisters. I'll do anything for you. I beg you. As he spoke, he knelt down and kowtowed, banging his head until it was red. The woman quickly helped him up and said, Get up quickly. Don't worry, we will do our best. She carefully examined the situation of that senior brother, took out a pill with an unusually strong medicinal fragrance, and fed it to him. Then she circulated her mana to help him refine it. Not long after, fine beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. Fortunately, the treatment was very effective. The senior brother's injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The remaining demonic energy in the wound was dispelled by the medicinal properties of the pill, and his breath gradually stabilized. At the same time, more than one person discovered this small sect. Several other figures wearing the same style of white robes fell from the sky, found the survivors, and began to treat them. Seeing familiar faces being dug out one by one, many who were on their last breath were saved. The young cultivator was so moved that he burst into tears and kept kowtowing to thank them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Wang Xiaohu, and I will definitely repay you. Definitely. The many white-robed people smiled at each other when they heard this, turned around, and were about to leave to go to the next area to save people. Wang Xiaohu hurriedly shouted, Wait! Several people turned around, looking puzzled. Wang Xiaohu said, I still don't know the names of my benefactors and where they're from. When my master and the others wake up, they will ask me, and I need to have an explanation, so I know how to repay you. A man pointed to the words embroidered with gold thread on the front of his clothes and smiled. We are from the Tianju Island Langya Charitable Foundation. Helping those in need is our founding principle. There is no need for repayment. After saying that, they left in a hurry. Wang Xiaohu stood there, stunned. Helping those in need, no need for repayment. Didn't senior brother say that in the cultivation world, life and death are determined by fate and have nothing to do with others? These people in front of him seemed to be a little different. With this thought in mind, Wang Xiaohu glanced back at his master and fellow disciples who had not yet woken up, and suddenly felt a movement in his heart. He chased after those people from the foundation. On the shallow beach, a cultivator in the disaster area barely survived the disaster. His spiritual power was exhausted, but he encountered a few sea demons that had not retreated. He struggled desperately, but the situation was precarious. At the critical moment, several white-robed cultivators fell together and protected him behind them. The cultivation of these people was not high. Basically, they were all in the chi refining stage, but they worked together and quickly drove away the sea demons. Thank you, fellow Taoists, for saving my life. This is my savings. Although it's not much, I hope you won't dislike it. This rogue cultivator was very sensible and understood the rules of the cultivation world. The other party saved his life. It was impossible to let the other party do it for nothing, so he very decisively handed over the only storage bag on his body. However, the people on the opposite side just smiled and said, Fellow Taoist, you're too polite, but our charitable foundation does disaster relief without accepting any compensation. Otherwise, we'll be punished when we get back. Hearing this, the rogue cultivator was stunned, and then he realized the patterns and words on the chests of these people. It was not a certain sect or a certain sect. It was the Langya Charitable Foundation. What kind of sect was this? He had never heard of it. Probably he was ignorant and ill-informed, and he didn't know that there was such a force in the northern region, but I can't let you work for nothing. The rogue cultivator was still a little uncomfortable. The salary we should get has already been given by the association. The people from the foundation finished speaking and left with the others, rushing to other places. Charitable Foundation. The rogue cultivator looked at the direction they were leaving, muttering, his eyes complicated. The northern region, when did such a force appear? Somewhere, a collapsed mountain peak crushed a large area of buildings. Each of those boulders weighed tens of thousands of caddies, or even hundreds of thousands of caddies. They were piled up heavily, like a stone mountain. Being crushed under such a mountain, mortals had no chance of survival. Even cultivators, unless they were real people above the golden core stage, would find it difficult to escape. Not to mention that those who were crushed were basically small cultivators in the chi refining stage. They were already injured in the battle with the sea demons. Being crushed like this again. Even if they didn't die on the spot, it was difficult to escape. Lin Kaiwei was one of the people in charge of this rescue operation, with a foundation establishment cultivation. She looked at the scene in front of her, frowned slightly, and spread out her divine sense. There are at least 100 people crushed under this, and they are still alive. Bring the treasure. Not long after, someone came holding a long, thin pestle. Lin Kaiwei took it, threw it into the air, and the small pestle grew with the wind, turning into a huge 1 dozen of jong tall, with dazzling golden light. As she circulated her mana, the huge iron pestle struck horizontally. Once, twice, until the small half of the mountain at the top was shaken and wobbled. Such a huge stone mountain was not enough with Lin Kaiwei's strength alone. Hundreds of Foundation members who came with her worked together. When Lin Kaiwei's spiritual power was almost exhausted, they took over the work, giving her time to hold the spirit stones and frantically recover her mana. For a time, everyone worked hard, attracting countless people to watch. Whoa! Such a big commotion? Is some sect master's wife crushed underneath? A person who didn't know the situation asked. What are you talking about? They don't know the people underneath at all. They don't know them? Then why are they working so hard? Don't you know? They are from the Langya Charitable Foundation, whose purpose is to help those in need. They have been here for half a day and have saved many people, and they haven't even collected any money. No money? Is there such a kind-hearted person in the world? It is said that the president of this charitable foundation is the young master of the Wang family of the Langya Merchant Association. The one who held the ascension ceremony before, which caused a stir. I didn't believe that a playboy could do good deeds before, but now, I'm not so sure. The entire Chonglan Island. The figures of the deacons of the Langya Charitable Foundation could be seen everywhere. Looking around, the whole island was white-robed. 20 flying boats of the foundation had already arrived. A large amount of relief supplies were continuously sent from Tianju Island, so that the cultivators in the affected areas could be rescued in the shortest possible time. Even if they could not be cured immediately, they could at least save their lives. At the beginning, many cultivators were still skeptical, thinking that there was no free lunch in the world, and even suspecting at these words, everyone present changed their expressions. Especially the people from the 3 major merchant associations. Their brows furrowed, and anger flashed in their eyes. What's going on? 10,000 spirit stones is a lot, isn't it? And it's a gift from the Langya young master, isn't that a good thing? Why do they look like that? Among the crowd, some cultivators were puzzled and whispered. Some perceptive people chuckled and shook their heads. 10,000 spirit stones are certainly not a small amount for us, but for the 4 major merchant associations, it's not even a hair. And, do you really think that the Langya Merchant Association came to support the Penglai Yunhai Foundation? Otherwise, hee. It's almost an open secret that the Langya Merchant Association and the Penglai Merchant Association are at odds. Over the years, the Penglai Merchant Association has targeted the Langya Merchant Association in various ways, and how many businesses have they snatched from them? Do you think the Langya young master would be so kind? I see. Then why did he send money? Sigh, think about it, the Langya young master only donated 10,000 spirit stones, so how much is appropriate for others to donate? Does that matter? It matters a lot. If the Langya young master was just the Langya young master, then it wouldn't matter. After all, there are 4 major merchant associations in the northern region, so it's fine if they don't interact in the future. But the Langya young master is also the young master of the Wei Wang Mansion and the young master of the Beihai Holy Land, which is different. How many forces in this vast northern region depend on them for survival? Donating more than the Wang family's young master and temporarily gaining the upper hand is secondary. The most crucial thing is that this matter, in the eyes of those with ulterior motives, could be interpreted as taking sides, right? Then it's equivalent to openly opposing the Wang family's young master. How many people have such courage? Are they courting death? Hearing this analysis, many people who didn't understand the key points suddenly came to their senses. Sure enough, during the subsequent donation process, the amount of donations from any force did not exceed the number of 10,000 spirit stones, including those sects that had previously claimed to donate hundreds of thousands or millions. They also quieted down at this moment. They just took a good-looking number, such as 9,999. After all, being friends with the 3 major merchant associations is one thing. But to really make a clear stance, they don't have the guts. Although the Wang family has been declining in recent years. But a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. What if they get provoked and are targeted as an example? The further it went, the smaller the donation numbers became. Tang Qian's face became increasingly ugly. Penglai President Chu Shanheng and the presidents of the other 2 families even snorted coldly and couldn't help but want to leave. They were only persuaded by Go Wanshi and others, and they reluctantly sat down. The donation was over. Without any surprise, Wang Mu won first place. According to the rules announced by the three major merchant associations, the three presidents of the merchant associations need to jointly present an award to Wang Mu to demonstrate his immeasurable merit. The young master is busy with his duties, and before he came, he instructed that if he was fortunate enough to receive an award, I would accept it on his behalf. Ni Tingting smiled. This damn guy, he really did it on purpose. He even anticipated the award ceremony in advance. Tang Qian gritted his teeth in his heart. The red-skirted woman in front of him was extremely beautiful, and her figure was alluring, not inferior to the 12 golden hairpins of Mioyan Pavilion who had just appeared on stage. But in Tang Qian's eyes, that smile became extremely ugly and hateful. Thank you, young Master Wang, for your generosity. Chu Shanhong, after all, was an old monster who had lived for countless years. He had enough self-control, and even if he was dissatisfied, he could still maintain his composure on the surface. Ni Tingting received the jade tablet engraved with the 4 words, immeasurable merit, from the 3 presidents. With her amazing eyesight, she instantly felt that it was extraordinary. Wow, top-quality 1,000-year-old sea heart jade. This carving is also top-notch. Ni Tingting sighed in admiration and said in front of everyone, such a treasure, if placed at an auction, it could easily sell for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Our young master will definitely like it. Tang Qian. Go Wanshi. Chu Shanhong. Everyone. Good Jia Huo. Others are taking advantage and still being polite. You guys are great. After taking advantage, you still slap people in the face. The young master Wang had only donated 10,000 spirit stones, and he received this spiritual jade worth hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. What's the difference between this and getting it for free? Who wouldn't like it? I can only say. As expected of the young master of the Langyu Merchant Association, this business method is really unmatched, a grand ceremony. With Ni Tingting's departure, it ended hastily. Tang Qian had no expression from beginning to end, but his fists were never unclenched. If it weren't for his strong willpower controlling him, he would have lost control long ago. Originally, the 3 major merchant associations had also arranged a banquet, but anyone with eyes could feel that the atmosphere at the scene was strangely cold to the extreme. They all made excuses and left. Only those forces that were close to the several major merchant associations gritted their teeth and stayed. Inside the room, it was quiet. Chu Shanhong stood in the shadows with his hands behind his back, his whole body as cold as seawater. Tang Qian looked at his back, gritted his teeth, and said, I'm sorry, father, I messed things up. I didn't expect that Wang family playboy to act so despicably. Chu Shanhong asked back, playboy? Do you think that a playboy can do what happened today? Tang Qian. Chu Shanhong's expression was not clear in the dim light. With only 10,000 spirit stones, he completely disrupted the grand ceremony that our 3 major merchant associations had painstakingly prepared for so long. This young master Wang either has an expert guiding him from behind, or we have all misjudged him. Tang Qian didn't speak, but his eyes already showed that he was more inclined to the latter. Chu Shanhong turned around slightly, looked at Tang Qian, and narrowed his eyes. I know you are eager for revenge, but you must remember one sentence. Never let hatred completely blind your eyes. If you can't even see your opponent clearly, you will definitely lose completely in the end. Tang Qian understood that this was a reminder and also a warning. A layer of cold sweat appeared on his back. He hurriedly said, I understand, father. In the future, I will never underestimate him again. Chu Shanhong nodded. He turned around, and his expression under the light became somewhat kind. Although there was an accident at this grand ceremony, it doesn't matter. The key is what comes next. After all, making money is a long-term thing. Yes. Tisk tisk tisk. It's indeed a beautiful jade. Not bad, really not bad, on Tianju Island. Wang Mu played with the spiritual jade tablet engraved with the 4 words, immeasurable merit, and he was very satisfied. Ni Tingting covered her lips and smiled softly. I estimate that at this moment, that young Master Tang is so angry that his lungs are about to explode. Wang Mu smiled and suddenly said, has the headquarters of our foundation been completed? Ni Tingting hurriedly said, it is about to be completed. According to your instructions, it is built in Daliang King City, not far from the palace. Wang Mu nodded. Put this spiritual jade tablet at the gate of the headquarters. In the future, no matter which branch is established, make an identical one and put it there. Ni Tingting was stunned. Young master, this is, after all, something from the Penglai Yunhai Merchant Association. Isn't it inappropriate to put it at the gate of our headquarters? Although this jade tablet is valuable, It is not really precious to the point of being unparalleled. The Langyu Merchant Association can easily find better ones. Why use someone else's? People will think we can't afford it. Wang Mu smiled slightly. The most important thing for a foundation is not financial resources, but reputation. Put this thing at the door, and if anyone asks in the future, just say that the merit and benevolence of our foundation are recognized by the 4 major merchant associations. Who would dare to question it? Ni Tingting understood instantly. She secretly thought, damn. This spiritual jade tablet was issued by the Penglai Yunhai Foundation to the merit master who donated the most. And Wang Mu himself is the founder of the first charitable foundation in the northern region. Isn't this certified by the 4 major merchant associations throughout the northern region? There is no more authoritative certification than this. Just then, Li Yuanhua walked in. Young master. According to your instructions, all the ascension ceremonies on the 13 islands around Tianju Island have just ended. Thank you for your hard work, Elder Li. You're too kind, young master. It's all what this old servant should do. Li Yuanhua smiled all over his face. A total of 13 large islands, with a total investment of over 100 million people. The number of cultivators detected to have spiritual roots also exceeded 1 million. This is an extremely terrifying number. Wang Mu could clearly feel that the speed of his cultivation was getting faster and faster. 2 days ago, he woke up from sleep. Without realizing it, he broke through to the late stage of foundation establishment, and now his realm has stabilized, rapidly heading towards the peak of foundation establishment. It seems that these people have not goofed my expectations, and they are all working very hard and diligently in their cultivation. Wang Mu was satisfied with the difficulty of his cultivation. If he relied on himself alone, even if the curse no longer troubled him, it would take him 3 to 5 months to normally advance from the early stage of foundation establishment to the middle stage. From the middle stage to the late stage, it might take half a year, or even longer, that's still with various natural treasures as snacks. After all, the pure mana that surpasses the earth immortal level is not just for show, just a wisp of it surpasses countless ordinary mana. Continue to push forward. On the wall behind Wang Mu, there was a huge, extremely detailed sea chart, recording the status of all the large and small islands in the entire northern region, and even the distribution of forces. He turned around, pointed at the sea chart, and said, and we need to speed up. In addition to the large islands, we also need to send people to organize those small islands in the outer areas. The spiritual energy of medium and small islands is relatively thin. The probability of mortals with spiritual roots being born will also be much lower than that of large islands. But fortunately, the number of islands is large, hundreds or even thousands of times that of large islands. For Wang Mu, this is also a huge piece of meat, and it is impossible to give up. Li Yuanhua glanced at the densely packed, star-like medium and small islands on the sea chart, and sighed softly. Young master, this requires manpower and material resources. I'm afraid it's quite a lot, Wang Mu said. Don't worry about the material resources, just ask Tingting for how much money you need. As for the manpower, you can directly recruit from outside. From outside? Li Yuanhua was a little surprised. Because Wang Mu was very concerned about the ascension ceremony, he had always arranged for direct bloodline members of the Li family to do these things personally. And every time he sent people out, he would repeatedly emphasize that they must do things perfectly. Consider all the details. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel at ease. Wang Mu nodded and said, this stall will get bigger and bigger in the future, and it will definitely not be enough to rely on your Li family alone. Of course, you have done a very good job and saved me a lot of trouble. Saying that, Wang Mu waved his hand, and a box appeared in front of him. The box opened. Inside lay densely packed middle-grade spirit stones. Take these down and distribute them to them, young master. You. What are you doing? We are willing to do things for the young master. It is a great honor. How can we ask for rewards? Li Yuanhua said so, but his hands directly took the box of spirit stones. Wang Mu smiled and said, since you are working for me, how can I treat you badly? This is what you deserve. In the future, all members of the Li family who participate in the organization of the Ascension ceremony can, if they wish, be independent and form the Ascension ceremony project team. Project team? Yes. Simply put, in the future, you will work for me, receive my salary, and do specialized things, Wang Mu explained. If you agree, all the personnel recruited in the future to promote and expand the Ascension ceremony will be trained by you. Still the same sentence, I want the highest efficiency. Li Yuanhua bowed down without hesitation. My Li family is willing to serve the young master. What a joke. Working so hard for so long, isn't it just to eat the Wang family's food? At this time, how could there be any reason to refuse? Wang Mu nodded with satisfaction. He stretched out a slender index finger and drew a circle on the huge sea chart. In the first batch, take down these medium and small islands first. Li Yuanhua stared at the circle, which encompassed more than 100 medium and small islands, and secretly remembered it in his heart. Li Yuanhua and Ni Tingting left to prepare for the follow-up matters of the ascension ceremony. Just then, a pleasant voice sounded in Wang Mu's mind. Open black lens bracket ding tilde. It is detected that the number of people the host has invested in is too large. For the convenience of the host, the system will undergo an adaptive upgrade. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket upgrading. Close black lens bracket, system upgrade. Wang Mu was stunned. This thing can still be upgraded? After a long while. Open black lens bracket ding tilde system upgrade completed. Close black lens bracket Wang Mu couldn't wait to open the system panel. Open black lens bracket name. Wang Mu close black lens bracket open black lens bracket race. Human close black lens bracket open black lens bracket talent. Immortal grade close black lens bracket open black lens bracket realm. Middle stage of foundation establishment close black lens bracket open black lens bracket abilities. Sun Emperor scripture. Incomplete. 8 extremes collapsing heaven fist. Incomplete. Heaven seizing fortune creation technique. Chi refining chapter. Gold element art, perfected. Water element art, perfected. Wood element art, perfected. Primordial standing stake, perfected. Gold element control, proficient. Fire element control, proficient. Wood element control, proficient. Water element control, proficient. Earth element control, proficient. Wind element control, proficient. Thunder element. Close black lens bracket below the basic panel was a series of seemingly endless income reminders. Open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Wang Yangchen, gold element art experience +1, gold element control +1, mana +0.1. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Lin Yezong, primordial standing stake experience +1, body strength +1. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Zhang Yuchen, wood element art experience +1, wood element control +1, mana +0.1. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Wu Tianlin, fire element art experience +1, fire element control +1, mana +0.1. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. All the income has been digitized. Wang Mu stroked his chin. Because the number of people he invested in was too large, he had a clear grasp of the income return status after the investment, so the system directly upgraded and digitized all the income. This is clear at a glance. The cultivation techniques that Wang Mu invested in were all the most basic cultivation techniques. Although they were not the worst, they were basic. In fact, the increase in the strength and various attributes of cultivators is not much. However, no matter how little, under the huge bonus of millions, even calisthenics can kill the dragon subduing palm. Wang Mu's abilities in various elemental controls were directly pulled to the top level, enough to rival the secret techniques of the major holy places that are not passed on. And as the number of people Wang Mu invests in increases, his future achievements are limitless. It was also at this time Wang Mu suddenly noticed that the experience bar after open black lens bracket primordial standing stake close black lens bracket, which was already full of red, after a flash with the continuous injection of experience. There was a change. Ding tilde congratulations to the host. Your understanding of primordial standing stake has broken through the limit. Comprehension. Primordial extreme intent technique. Congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Zhou Yikai. Primordial extreme intent technique experience +0.1, body strength +1. Congratulations to the host for receiving the cultivation effect income return from Wu Zhongchang. Primordial extreme intent technique experience +0.1, body strength +1. It was also at this moment that Wang Mu's body shook slightly. His blood surged, like a great river. Wisps of white mist rose. Damn these foundations. Zhou Ping sat cross-legged, refining the medicinal power of the jade void pill, unable to suppress his grumbling. These swindling merchants. The jade void pill he'd bought for 10,000 spirit stones was only of mediocre potency. The quality was simply terrible. Charitable foundation, my foot. Relief for the distressed? Bullshit. I was a fool to believe them. Oh, isn't this Elder Joe? Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in his ears. He opened his eyes and saw an elderly man with a gaunt face and a goatee, standing not far away, looking at him with a half-smile. Zhou Ping's pupils shrank. This man, Ouyang Chu, was a former inner elder of Hengchuan sect, a longtime rival of Breaking Sea sect. He felt a sudden tension. In his weakened state, he'd be no match if Ouyang Chu attacked. Don't be nervous. Ouyang Chu saw through his thoughts and smiled, a hint of melancholy in his eyes. Hengchuan sect and Breaking Sea sect are both gone. You and I have no life or death feud. Why would I take advantage of you? Hearing this, Zhou Ping felt slightly relieved. Then, he remembered something and asked in surprise, wait, didn't you get surrounded by 4 nascent soul demonic beasts, and your injuries were even worse than mine? How did you recover so quickly? Ouyang Chu smiled and said, all thanks to the benevolent people of the Foundation. Zhou Ping's skin crawled at the mention of Foundation, almost causing his cultivation to go awry. He quickly closed his eyes and focused on regulating his energy. After a while, he stabilized himself, panting, what did you say? Foundation. Benevolent people. Ouyang Chu replied naturally, yes, what's the problem? Zhou Ping sneered, that joke isn't funny at all. Ouyang Chu was puzzled. He observed Zhou Ping's condition and said, the pills you took seem to be of mediocre quality, aren't they? Not from the Foundation, are they? Zhou Ping remained silent. Ouyang Chu frowned. With your injuries, 1 jade void pill won't be enough. Luckily, I have an extra one that I haven't used up. I'll lend it to you. You have to return it later. With that, he took out an orange-yellow pill and sent it to Zhou Ping with his spiritual energy. This fragrance. Zhou Ping's eyes widened instantly. Even before tasting it, he could tell that this jade void pill was of top quality, far superior to the one he'd bought. Ouyang Chu saw gratitude in Zhou Ping's eyes, but also a hint of pity. Why are you looking at me like that? Ouyang Chu asked. How much did you pay for this pill? Zhou Ping twitched his lips. His pill cost 10,000 spirit stones. This one, of much higher quality, must be 50 or 100,000. The thought of his old rival being swindled made Zhou Ping feel both gloating and sympathetic. But Ouyang Chu laughed. Pay? Pay what? This was given to me by the people of the Foundation. They gave me 3 in total. Pulled me back from the gates of hell. Zhou Ping's eyes popped. Ouyang Chu continued. Oh, right. They even kindly gave me yin-yang soup to alleviate the chilling energy in my body. Zhou Ping was speechless. Ouyang Chu said, honestly, in my whole life, except when I was a child and my parents took care of me, no one has ever treated me so well. I wanted to give them my last magic treasure, the Azure Luo Jade Pendant, to express my gratitude, but they wouldn't take it no matter what. Tell me, how embarrassing is that? I owe them a huge debt of gratitude. Zhou Ping was dumbfounded. He wanted to tell Ouyang Chu, keep lying, but having seen the true colors of those Foundation people, he knew better. Just then, a young woman in white robes hurried over, her forehead beaded with sweat. She breathed a sigh of relief and said, Senior Ouyang, you were here. I thought something had happened to you. Ouyang Chu smiled. You worried needlessly, Miss Xiaoro. I met an old friend, and we chatted for a while, nothing serious. Xiaoro glanced at Zhou Ping, nodded, and then instructed, Senior Ouyang, your injuries haven't fully healed yet, you should go back and rest. We'll have someone come and give you a massage later, which will help you recover faster. To avoid any lingering problems. Zhou Ping was stunned. Ouyang Chu thanked her repeatedly. Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. Thank you so much. I'll chat with my old friend for a bit and go back right away. Then please hurry. Alright. Zhou Ping watched Xiaoro leave, his eyes wide. Ouyang Chu glanced at him. What are you looking at? Trying to pick young sprouts? Zhou Ping's face twitched. Which foundation is this? Langya Foundation, of course. Which other one could it be? Ouyang Chu saw the constipated expression on Zhou Ping's face and seemed to understand something. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. You were saved by that Punglai Cloud Sea Foundation. Zhou Ping remained silent. Ouyang Chu got it. Remembering Zhou Ping's earlier words, the truth was clear. Your trash jade void pill, was that from them too? Well, no. Wait, you didn't actually pay for that trash pill, did you? Zhou Ping turned away, sulking, unwilling to speak. No way, Elder Zhou, the esteemed elder, got fleeced like a lamb. Yang Chu followed him, grinning. How much did you pay? Tell me. 500 spirit stones? 1,000? 3,000? That piece of junk, surely it didn't cost you 10,000 spirit stones, did it, Zhou Ping? Yang, you're talking too much. Seeing his ashen face, Yang Chu knew he'd hit the nail on the head, feeling immensely pleased. He burst out laughing, stamping his feet. Zhou Ping became even more depressed, his face dark. Damn it, both are foundations. Why the huge difference? One side distributes pills, brews soup, and gives massages, providing meticulous care. The other side, that damned Panglai Cloud Sea Foundation, deceives, swindles, and coerces. Without comparison, there's no pain. Are these people even human? They dare to call themselves a charitable foundation? And of all people, I had to run into them. Damn it all. The more he thought, the more frustrated he became. Similar scenes were happening on various islands of the Star Luo archipelago. Although Langya Charitable Foundation and Panglai Cloud Sea Foundation had divided their rescue areas and didn't interfere with each other, cultivators moved around, especially since the islands were closely connected. Before long, the starkly different attitudes and styles of the two foundations caused an uproar. Damn. Langya Foundation is giving out Jade Void pills for free? Damn. Really? I spent 20,000 spirit stones to buy one? Damn. Langya Foundation even brews soup for people. The stewards are all so considerate and gentle. That's too good. I just saw two stewards from Panglai Cloud Sea fighting over a seriously injured cultivator's magic treasure. People are incomparable. Are these two really charitable foundations? That's outrageous. Panglai Cloud Sea, with the backing of the three major merchant guilds, has far more financial resources than Langya, and they collected hundreds of thousands, even millions, in donations. But when it comes to disaster relief, they give us defective rejuvenation pills. What did they spend their spirit stones on? Isn't it obvious? Langya is genuinely burning money to do charity, while Panglai is making money off disaster relief. It's a joke. Damn Panglai Cloud Sea, get lost. We don't want your help, we want Langya Foundation. Panglai Cloud Sea, get out. For a time, similar voices echoed across the islands. Zhang Yang and the others from Panglai Cloud Sea Foundation, who were gleefully calculating their profits, suddenly felt a chill down their spines. A strong sense of foreboding. Panglai Merchant Guild. Tang Qian leaned back in his chair, relaxed, tapping his fingers lightly on the tabletop. The disaster relief operation in the Star Luo archipelago had been going on for several days. During these days, large amounts of spirit stones poured in, making them a fortune. He had to admit that although he'd always thought Wang Mu was just a spoiled brat who relied on his family, Wang Mu did have some brains. This foundation move was indeed brilliant, a good business. Making money from those cultivators on the verge of death was indeed fast, ruthless, and accurate. Basically, no one bargained, as long as they were offered a price. After a prolonged beating, Shi Yiming was left too weak to even groan. Only then did Lu Ruoan step forward to intervene. Seeing that it was the benefactor of Langya Foundation speaking, the crowd decided to give him face, each adding one last kick to Shi Yiming before departing in anger. Shi Yiming lay sprawled on the ground, his hair a mess, his face swollen and bruised beyond recognition. He began to weep, pounding the earth with his fists. Heavens above, earth below, I've been wronged. Lu Ruoan coughed twice, speaking with righteous indignation. Brother Shi, though you were unaware, you still bore some responsibility for abetting the wicked. Take this as a lesson to be more discerning in the future. Charity is a serious matter. No room for taking advantage. Ing. Shi Yiming, already mentally broken, nearly leapt up to fight Lu Ruoan. But as he looked up, he saw Miss Meng standing beside him, gazing at Lu Ruoan's profile with admiration. In that instant, Shi Yiming froze. Crack tilde, huh? A young man in the crowd said, confused. What just broke? Shi Yiming clutched his chest, spitting out a mouthful of blood before his vision went black, and he collapsed. On Qingyun Archipelago, Faxian Island, at the Panglai Cloud Sea Foundation, Manager Zhang sat in an expensive sharkskin chair, leisurely sipping tea while two maids massaged his legs. Manager, I heard that on Star Luo Archipelago, our foundation's people were driven out, and our reputation is in tatters. Many customers who donated to us are complaining, a servant said, bowing with unease. Manager Zhang dismissed him. Relax. What can they do with their complaints? These wealthy customers are easy to handle. Just apologize, say it was the people below acting on their own, not us. What can they do? Dare they come knocking? He chuckled, and the servant, finding his words reasonable, chuckled along. But just as he finished speaking, a deafening crash came from the entrance, shaking the entire building. Manager Zhang tumbled under his chair, looking up in bewilderment. What's going on? 2 guards rushed in, shoving the maids aside. Manager, it's terrible. All the big donors who gave us money have come demanding an explanation. Manager Zhang's jaw dropped. The others were equally shocked. At the entrance of the Penglai Cloud Sea Foundation on Faxian Island, a large group of wealthy and influential figures stood angrily blocking the doorway. Many bore injuries on their faces and bodies. They were all patrons of the Penglai Cloud Sea Foundation, prominent names on the inexhaustible merit list outside. They had believed that their generous donations would greatly enhance their families' reputations. But they were mistaken. Whenever they casually mentioned their involvement with the foundation at social gatherings, they were met with hostility. Many cultivators, upon hearing their association with Penglai Cloud Sea, would attack them without mercy, relentlessly beating them down. If one attacker wasn't enough, they'd form groups and chase them across multiple islands. Upon investigation, they learned of Penglai Cloud Sea's actions during the disaster relief efforts, actions that could only be described as outrageous. Even hearing about them made them furious, let alone the cultivators who had suffered through it. They realized their beatings were not entirely unjustified. But they had contributed real money, intending to do good deeds. The problem lay with the Penglai Cloud Sea Foundation. Yet, they were the ones bearing the brunt of the backlash. This was unacceptable. They resolved to demand an explanation from Penglai Cloud Sea no matter what. Bang! Shi Yiming, still bearing his wounds and seething with anger, led the charge. The moment Manager Zhang stepped outside, he saw Shi Yiming stomping on the Penglai Cloud Sea Foundation's signboard. He was struck dumb. What? What are you all doing? What am I doing? I am expressing my displeasure. Shi Yiming said, his eyes bloodshot, pointing at Manager Zhang. Damn Penglai Cloud Sea. You've ruined my shot with her. Manager Zhang was bewildered. The other patrons began their own accusations. Manager Zhang, we demand an explanation for what happened on Starluo Archipelago. Where did our money go? How was it used? Why are you even worse than Langyu Merchant Guild? They gave away jade void pills for free, brewed soup, and gave massages. You sold defective pills and marked up jade void pills tenfold. You're just here to do business, aren't you? We donated money to do good, trusting the reputations of your 3 major merchant guilds. We were sorely mistaken. Not all merchants are like Langyu Merchant Guild. You're just crooks. I don't care. I donated so much money and got hit on the head with a broken magic artifact, almost turning into an idiot. Your foundation is responsible. Refund. We want a refund. Yes. Refund, or we'll smash your store. Seeing their anger, Manager Zhang grew nervous. It was clear they weren't bluffing. If he didn't give them a satisfactory answer, they might really take action. While Penglai Cloud Sea's background meant they weren't afraid of any island faction, they were still in business, valuing harmony. If things turned violent, they'd lose all future business on these islands. While they didn't care about the profits from one archipelago, the issue would spread elsewhere, affecting their overall business. Deciding to act, Manager Zhang stepped forward, taking a deep breath. Everyone, calm down and listen. Refunding. He scanned the crowd. Is out of the question. The crowd was taken aback. To be honest, we just learned about this ourselves. I'm just as furious as you, because this was not my intention, nor the intention of the 3 major merchant guilds. We genuinely wanted to save lives and provide relief, even better than Langyu Foundation. But due to our rushed setup and the sudden disaster, our staff was a mix of good and bad, each with their own agendas. Especially those on Starluo Archipelago, they were all temporary hires. They have nothing to do with us, Manager Zhang said, putting on a distressed expression. Shi Yiming spat on him. Bullshit, aren't you responsible for the dogs you unleashed? Thinking you can brush this off with excuses? Dream on, exactly. Don't try to deceive us. Do you think we're fools? We've inquired, and everyone was using the same words and methods to sell pills at inflated prices. Clearly they were instructed. You still say they were temporary hires. Everyone, don't listen to this swindler. If he doesn't give us an explanation today, we'll smash his store. Smash the store. Smash the store. The crowd's anger reached a fever pitch. Spiritual energy surged. Magic artifacts glowed. and hundreds of powerful auras locked onto the Penglai Cloud Sea Foundation's storefront, like an impending storm. Manager Zhang, visibly alarmed, held up his hands. Everyone, I know you're upset, but please wait. Let me say one thing. The crowd quieted down slightly. Manager Zhang took a deep breath, gritting his teeth. If you smash the store, you can't hit me anymore. The crowd was speechless. Damn it. Kill him. Crap. At Penglai Merchant Guild headquarters, the leaders of the 3 major guilds gathered, their faces grim. In just 3 days, over 100 foundation branches we set up across various islands have been smashed. Do you have anything to say? Tang Qian said, his face dark. More than that. Go Wanshi shook his head. I've heard of one store that was smashed, rebuilt, and smashed again 5 times in one day. Tang Qian cursed inwardly. What were they trying to say? To show how hated their foundations were? Did they need to point that out? Xu Yanshuang, the female leader of Cloud Palace Merchant Guild, furrowed her brow, looking at a pile of jade slips containing bad news. I don't understand. We're both charitable foundations, both saving lives. Why is Langya beloved, and we're hated? Is it just because they're free? Yes, we made some money, but we also saved lives. Are material possessions more important than life?